Welcome. It's a sunny, bright, happy day here. Hopefully, where you are too, you're having a good morning or good afternoon, possibly. Again, as always, say hello in the chat box. Let us know who you are and where you are. And as always, the chat box is there for you to ask questions if you have any about the materials that we share and show. And also, if you have any thoughts or reactions to what we're doing on screen. So please feel free to jump in and share your thoughts and ideas and say hello to us. And Linda has done that. So welcome. Good morning, Linda. And Mary and Barbara. It's good to have all of you starting to come in and be here. Today's show is going to be about stabilizers and fusibles. I think this one is one of those shows that I wish I had had a long time ago when I started using, some of these products and things, and I really didn't know that, the difference on any of them. I just went to the store and made as an educated guess as I could about things, and started using whatever products were available to me. But a few years ago, I discovered the Quilter Select materials, and there were a number of things about them that I really liked and got to use and see them in action. So I want to do the same for you today, and this is whatever stabilizers and fusibles that you need. But there's different ones for different projects and the things that we're doing in that. And so hopefully today my goal is to be able to help take some of that confusion away and help you find the right product for the project that you're doing. So I want to just jump in and get started with this. And talk about the stabilizers and the fusibles from Quilter Select is the ones that we're going to talk about here today. There's a couple of things that I learned along the way by using them and reading up on them and watching, demonstrations and things about the products on YouTube and at quilt shows, places like that. And I do encourage you. Here in California, Road to California is going on right now, and I know that they, have their booths there, and go in and watch and ask, all kinds of questions and see what they're doing new and innovative with the product. And that's a great way to learn. Plus, you're there with friends and you're enjoying yourself as well. So the number one thing that I think, well, it's not really number one, but it's a biggie for me, is that all of the Quilter Select products are made in America. And being conscious of that, I like that. I like that a lot. That they, everything that they can get here in America, that's what they're using and making it out of. The other thing that, having worked in a quilt store and understanding a little bit from that end of it, was that they only sell to independent retailers. They do not sell their products in the big box stores. So the independent retailer is the one that there's no competition there. And so that also is nice from my perspective, and I would think so from the stores. And the other thing that I discovered while using the product was how soft it was, and it didn't change the hand of the material or the project that I was doing. It wasn't stiff in there, and it didn't feel like I had something else, so that my quilt still felt soft and still felt like what it should be, even though there was a product in there. And so it's very soft of hand, and that is amazing to me. And I like that, and I want that in the things that I make, because if especially for applique quilts and stuff, if you're using them, you want them to feel soft. You don't want them to have something else in there that makes them not as comfortable comfy and cozy, if you will. And the other thing that I thought was wonderful is that I was having trouble with product, and they stand behind it. If you get in contact with them, they take care of the issues. And if a product is not working the way it should, they'll help you out, and they will take care of that and answer your questions and help you get the product that you really need. And that's worth its weight in gold, because I've been frustrated from time to time trying to find help when I really need it, and the frustration that comes with that, and I can't continue my project. But they stand behind that. And there is the last thing, and I didn't know this for a while, but I want you to know it, and that is this product is not paper. It may feel like paper. It may have some of those qualities, but it's not. It's a fiber. And so when we talk about that, when you put this in your quilt and you wash it, much of it is water soluble. And so it will go away. It will continue to be soft in that. So those are some of the things that I want you to know up front as we're talking about these products. And I share with you some of the things that you can do with the product itself. And so let's just jump right in to the line that they have of stabilizers and fusibles. And again, if you have a comment about them, or if you found success in some way, I know that I won't probably mention everything that there is to know about them, and you can add to the learning process here. So we're going to start. Let me drop you down so you can see what's on my table. We're going to start with the Appleweb stick. Is the first product, and you can get it both in a roll like this. There's a glare on my board. Let me see if I can find it. So it's Select Appleweb stick, and it comes in a roll, and it also comes on in sheets, and so you can do it either way. And the sheets are really nice because you can run it through your printer. And if you aren't sure if your printer works or not with the Appleweb stick, set it on a setting for special paper or heavier paper, and you can run multiple pages through at once if you have those settings on your printer. But if not, one at a time, and it goes through. I have never had a problem. Right now I have an HP printer. Before that, I think I had a Canon. So I really haven't had much trouble with putting it through the printer. So either one sheet at a time if you're going to print it. So you can trace on it, you can draw on it, you can run it through your printer and get that. I just made a simple circle today so that we could be able to see this product on one side. And I don't know if the camera is going to pick up today. The light is a little weird for me here today. So, but this has got a shiny, you can see the glue on it when you move it around a little bit. And the other side is the paper. It's a little bit slick. So you can print or put whatever you want on your paper, and then you're going to trim, a generous 1/4 inch around that fabric. Or I call it fabric because it is a fiber, paper, whatever you want to call it. And so then I can take, and I'm going to put this onto the back side of my fabric. And by doing that, just a heads up on that, that's going to cause and create a reverse applique. So you make sure that you change your settings, or that you're aware that you need to reverse it so that you get it correct. Now, the other thing that you need to know about this product is that when you fuse it, you want a medium or medium-high iron, and you don't really want to rub like this across your applique. You want to just simply set your iron down on it until it's nice and fused. So you've got this, you know, it's on there, it's fused, and now for the machine applique, you're going to cut right on the line. I probably am not going to be as careful as I would if I was really cutting out. And for really delicate, this is just quite an awesome, and we've used this on the show before. And so now I have my applique piece. I will often use a pin just to score it in the middle, especially with really small applique pieces. It just makes that paper come off quite easily if you score it a little bit, and then your edges don't get all messed up. Put it on your fabric, and then you can sew, applique, whatever you're going to do around that. And what is really nice is then again, when you wash this, it's very light on here and very bendable. And yes, you can feel it at this point, but again, when you wash it, much of that is going to become very soft, and it's water soluble. So Applistick for those applique needs. And then there's also another product that they have that I find really nice. Instead of pinning or using the clips, doing a lot of that with binding, or when I need to you know, making purses or other things like that, they also have it that it comes in this tape. And so this is wonderful. And one of the other things that I want to mention to you, doing some of my art stuff, that kind of thing, I've used this, and you can actually, it's strong enough to use on like wood, paper, glass. I've used it in several different places, and it works really well. So, and this tape has come in quite handy. So you've got both the sheet, the roll, and the tape for applique. So, any questions on that? I just saw thing go up. Star members get a 25% coupon when they join or renew. So that's an awesome thing. So Applistick, that was our first one. Now we're going to look at Appleweb Plus. And this also comes in a roll. And this is kind of amazing stuff. It's a fusible webbing. And what this, let me get things out of my way here. What this applique webbing is, and I want to try to find a place, it is just a thin layer of webbing that is very thin, and it's just what sticks and what glues. The couple of things that I like about it when I'm using it is that it's dense in there. Yes, it's a webbing, but it's kind of close together and very dense in that fact. But the other thing that I really like is that it has the paper on the one side, and so even after you fuse it, this webbing kind of helps the fabric to relax. And I would honestly say I hardly know it's there, and it adheres to just about anything. And this one needs a low temperature on your iron, so I'm going to turn my iron down a little bit. And the thing that I like using it for, I was in a class and I was having to applique a sheer fabric like this that I wanted to put on to give the windows a glass type look. I think it was a little bit sheerer than this, but I'm going to put this over the top of this paper. And I want you to see just how wonderful it works. And I'm going to use a parchment paper, and I'm going to adhere this. And I'm using the parchment paper because I really don't want to get this on my iron, because that's a mess, as many of you already know. And this is pretty wonderful stuff in the fact that it too adheres to many things. And so now I've got it adhered. It has stabilized my fabric, and now I'm going to pull the paper away. I should leave it to cool a little bit longer, and so you'll want to do that. And so I just want you to see that it really doesn't change much of the look of the fabric, and you can see around the edges that that the glue is there, and part of it is because I didn't let it dry all the way. And so I'm going to put this down now on top of another fabric because it has that very sheer I love this web for many reasons, but I love it that it has the paper on it. I can set designs. I can adhere it to it. I can run it through and as you can see, the fabric is very soft of hand, and you hardly know that it's in there. And the other thing is that the pins and everything go through that really pretty wonderfully. Just give me a second here. And the Appleweb Plus to me is, well, it can be two things. I can use it as a stabilizer to stabilize the sheer fabrics and that kind of thing, but it's also a fusible, and that's really what it's made for, is for applique. It's fusing on there, and the needles go through really well. So if you need to hand sew or any of that type of thing, it works really well for that. And so I would say it's a fusible, but I can also use it a little bit to stabilize delicate fabrics, and that's why I wanted to show you this particular delicate. The other thing that I want to share with you, and where it didn't quite fuse, the other thing is that it is so smooth. The hand of it is quite nice, and I didn't let that heat quite enough. In the center, it's fused quite well, but just for the sake of time, I didn't fuse it all the way on that. So let me put that aside and move on to, and you want to use a low temperature iron, and all irons are different with the fusibles, so make sure that you check your iron, and if it's not fusing right away, you can turn your iron up a little bit, and that's probably what I needed to do there with that. And then we have our print and piece fusible light, and this one is great for the needle turn applique, and they're pre-cut sheets. You can run them through your printer to get your patterns put on that. And again, decorative or heavy paper is what you would put your printer's settings to. And there's a couple of things. You can leave this in your applique if you wish. using that in that way, or you can remove it and use decorative stitching on it, all of those types of things. And I want to show you a little bit very quickly here. Again, you can print out, use, and this is the one, this Fuse Light is very, very light. Print and Fuse Light. Again, you can see the shiny side on the back, and you would fuse that to I'm going to actually, when I'm going to use it for needle turn applique, I'm going to cut it right on the line. You can also certainly use this for machine applique, but let me share with you, since for the hand applique, I'm going to fuse that to the back side of my fabric. All right. And again, if you need to add a little bit of heat or let it sit there a little bit longer, there we go. Now I'm going to, cut a fairly generous 1/4 inch around for the turning of this. And this is where the applique stick comes in. And I can put the glue there and use the applique tools, whatever, and I can turn that around, work it so that I get a nice smooth edge on that with the tools. And if I need to move it, the glue works really well in terms of being able to push that so that you don't get those little points. And you don't put the glue all the way around because it does dry out quickly. But it also, while you're putting it on, it moves very, very, very easily. And again, the needle goes through this really quite easily, so that when you're sewing, it is not hard to sew within. So that needle goes in very, very easily and makes for needle turn. And then you can put it in place and sew it down. So that makes that product pretty wonderful there as well. All right. So Select, Piece, and Fuse Light. And I want you to know that on every product, they give you a pretty good explanation of what you can do and how to see it. And somebody asked, is Appleweb similar to Misty Fuse? Yes, it is. It works in the same way as that, except there are a couple of differences that I have noticed on some of those other fusibles, is that you get a gritty, sandy feel to them. And but again, it's light. And with the Misty Fuse, you do not have the paper backing on it. What I like about the Quilter Select one is that the fabric the web itself is very smooth. And once you get it completely fused to your fabric, it is almost invisible, and it keeps very it stays smooth. And so, for example, for those of you who may or may not have seen when I did the cards with that, a lot of my cards using Misty Fuse have a rough texture to them. When I do my cards and use the Appleweb, it's very smooth. You don't know that you have something over the top, and it's very light when you use it on paper or other materials, and it's very, very soft. And of course, Misty Fuse is too. And the and it's not thicker. Somebody else asked about the thickness of it. No, it is not thicker. The web is just a little bit more dense together, fusing it really, really well to the fabric. So I hope that answers that question that someone has. And again, with the print and fuse light, you can leave this. So if you're doing like paper piecing, that type of thing, for foundation piecing, I find it pretty wonderful because I leave it in most of the time. Because again, when you wash the fabric or your quilt, because it is a fiber and a portion of this material is water soluble, you can it's going to wash away, and you get this really, again, very soft, light of hand look to your quilt with the print and piece fuse light. So foundation piecing, running that through your printer on the sheets, or you can get it on a roll. All of those things make it really wonderful. And when you're using it, even when you put decorative stitching on there and it's very heavy, you can wet the stitching line and it just falls away. It pulls away from that, because again, it's a lot of it, a high percentage of it is water soluble. So that is and you can get it either print and piece light with the foundation, or you can get it again without it being, a little bit heavier for, some of your heavier decorative stitching, that type of thing. So you have a choice there with that. Then there is a product called Select Fabric Prep. And it looks like a sheer fabric. And this is really a cool piece. I haven't used it a ton because I really wasn't sure how to use it, and then I needed it for a t-shirt quilt. One of the things about a t-shirt quilt for me is that when you put the interfacing and stuff on the back side of a t-shirt or any polyester or knit fabric, the fabric is stretchy and it's hard to work with. And then that t-shirt quilt, from the weight of the material itself and all the fusible that you put in it, t-shirt quilts can become really heavy. But this is really wonderful for a t-shirt quilt, because it's almost like it's not even there. But it stabilizes it so that you can sew that quilt together and you don't have all of that weight to it. But it's not just for t-shirt quilts. Silk, satin, Dupioni, some linen blends. Anytime there's a fabric that you need to stabilize for any reason, or to keep it from stretching or raveling, this stuff is amazing. I love to sew with silks and specialty fabrics from time to time on some of the art quilts that I do. But it's a challenge because they either shred, they unravel like crazy. I have to put product on it to keep it stabilized so that I can work with it. And I've used a lot of different ones. But I will have to say truthfully that this is a great product, because it moves with the fabric, but yet it makes it easier to sew. This was a fabric I had found, and I used it on a purse, but I had this issue going on. And so when I tried to sew with it, cut with it, I was constantly getting all this stuff coming off of which is true of Dupioni silk and oftentimes a lot of other silks. And so by stabilizing it, putting this on the back, it honestly did not change the feel of the fabric at all. But I put it so that it extends beyond the fabric that I need, and then I can trim it to the size for my project of what and I do not get all this fraying. And as the fabric works, and if you have a stretchy fabric, it holds it in place and stabilizes that. And so cut it a little bit bigger than the fabric that you're using, iron it down, and then cut out your fabric, and you don't get the frayed section on there. And I had put some on the back, which it's almost invisible back there. But as you can see, this side is not fraying at all. And this side, every time I touch it, it starts to peel away from that. So the fabric prep. Another thing that's really kind of cool about this is I've had to find a fabric that for a quilt that I've either run out of, or I don't have, or I really need something. And I find it at sometimes the bigger box stores, but then it's not really wonderful quality, but it's the fabric that I needed for the project that I'm doing. And if I put this on the back, it really brings it up to a better quality fabric, and I can use that. So it works for that as well as all the delicate fabrics. So that is just one of those wonderful, wonderful products that has so much versatility with that. Now with this, again, use a pressing cloth or a sheet, a Teflon sheet or parchment paper, something in between that. And that's really really important. And to know which side of this, you can see a little bit of the glue on this side. It's got a shiny side to it, and and it's a little bit rough because of the glue in it, so you can feel it. Put the rough side next to the fabric, the one that shows a little bit of sparkle and shine on there, as you're pressing it, and you'll be able to see that. Probably not on camera, but you would if you were using this. And it's a great product for lots of reasons on that. So that's called Select Fabric Prep. Again, a wonderful product to keep your fabric from shredding or stretching during your project that you're working on. The next one that we're going to talk about is the Tearaway Stabilizer. And with the Tearaway Stabilizer, this is great for decorative stitching, and this works really well on that. And I have it down here, and there you can see that there is a temporary fusible on one side. In the right light, you can see that is there. This side is a little bit feels more like paper. This has a very smooth feel to it, and that's the side that you put down. The other way that you would know if you're having trouble seeing that is at the inside, as it's rolled up on the paper, is the side, and you can tear that away. And what is, again, I think the really special thing about this is that oftentimes when I'm tearing stabilizer away, the threads will come up, or it will pull on my decorative stitching, and I don't always like that, especially if I'm doing it too fast, too hard, that type of thing. But again, if you I use a water pen, and I will just run it along my stitching, and that water, again, it just releases, and so I can tear that away really easily for that, from my threads and stuff. So it really is the perfect foundation paper for decorative stitching, and really holds that in place. And the other thing about these products is that they're all washer and dryer safe. no problem. And they do recommend lower, drier temperature and cool water to wash things in, but that's what I would really wash it in anyway. So I'm really seeing on the comments, I'm looking up there, and I can't walk and chew gum at the same time. So sometimes if I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about, it's because I'm reading some of your ideas. And so if you are also reading the chats, lots of people look like they truly love this product as well. And I like that. So for decorative stitching, it works wonderfully well for that. I just did a really small quick one, and so when you're getting ready to tear that paper away, and this is without the water, but you can see just how easily that tore away and kept that it just tears away wonderfully well and leaves your decorative stitching in place. And I used a little bit heavier of a stitch so you could see that easily on that. And so then the other one that I want to talk about is the cutaway. And again, with the cutaway, this one will also work real well for stabilizing a t-shirt. Again, it's fairly thin and a stabilizer, and you can cut stuff away from the decorative stitching, that type of thing. I have personally not used this one, but I know from others who have used the cutaway in terms of t-shirt quilts, love it, because again, when you wash it, the water soluble part of it is gone, and you place the fusible side on the wrong side of your block, and you work it with a pressing cloth or a piece of cotton, and again, low temperature iron, and trimming away the excess after you've put the cutaway on. And the other thing that this is really great for is stabilizing applique on knit. If you're doing decorative stitching, writing names, putting on, logo type things, that kind of stuff, you put the fusible side on the wrong side of your fabric or your garment, and again, always put a pressing cloth or a piece of cotton or something between it, and you can complete your stitching project, and then you can cut it away and trim away whatever excess that you don't need. And sometimes if it's overstuck, you can reheat it, which will engage the temporary glue on it, and you can release it from the fabric on that. So again, another great product. And if you are having trouble getting the product to bond, then again, turn your iron up just a little bit, but go by in small increments because you do not want the iron too hot. There's a great little sheet that gives you information. All of the products are here, on the side. They kind of give you a real brief summary of how to use those, and giving you a little cheat sheet there, if you will, on that. Then the other product that I totally fell in love with is this Quilter Select. It's called Free Fuse, and this is for fusing your quilt together for machine quilting. And this, you would put your base material down, you sprinkle this over the top of that, and you then put your batting and then your top layer, so as you're sandwiching your quilt. And this takes the place of the sprays and pinning. So it's a semi-permanent fusible powder, And I think the biggest mistake, and it was the mistake that I made the first time I used it, it says use a light hand and you don't need very much to fuse it. Well, I thought more was better. That's not true. And I think if you've tried it and used it, you've probably found out the same thing. So I put it down, I get everything pressed, and I work from the center and go to one end, and then work from the center and go to the other side, and fuse that so that my quilt is ready for quilting. I don't get the puckers, those things, because I'm not the world's greatest machine quilter. I continue to work on that. That's one of those I'm going to get better in spite of myself. But this has made it a lot easier. This was a game changer for me. And the free fuse is okay to use on wool, but it doesn't work as well because it falls through. Sprinkle lightly. Use this. It's a neat powder. It comes with the top of it, so you can sprinkle it. This light powder. For me, it was a game changer. Truly, truly a game changer. In terms of machine quilting. For whatever reason, my pinning, I would get puckers here and there and it wouldn't come out right. It was frustrating. And then with the sprays, I would overspray, and the smell of it, all of that, it was messy. And this is not. It's absolutely wonderful to use on this. So for me, this was a game changer. So this is a very, very favorite. So the webbing is one that I use a ton. I use the Appleweb or the Applestick a lot. That one is in my quilt room constantly. The Print and Piece Light, and now I'm using the Fabric Prep for all of my silks and all of that. It's just these products are absolutely fabulous, and if you get a chance to use them, I would highly recommend it. You can put it on I forgot what I was going to say. The other thing that I see a question, any sticky issues with the needle? Absolutely not. That is, thank you for asking the question, because it is very needle friendly. I do not have a problem with my machine. With other fusibles, I will have to have my alcohol pads right here by my machine, and every little bit clean off my needle. Or if I'm hand stitching, changing needles often. I do not do that when I use any of the products that I've shown you today. And the other thing on the free fuse, and somebody mentioned it here too, if you go to YouTube and find Alex, she gives a demonstration on this free fuse that's wonderful. She does a great, well, she always does a fabulous job with her demonstrations. But she does have a great one about how to sandwich your quilt using this and doing that on a tabletop. And so I would highly recommend you to go to her YouTube and find that. It works on polyester. It works on cotton. It works on all of them. And I would probably say the biggest mistake is putting too much. And but it's a wonderful product, and you try it and see what works best for you on that. So that is the stabilizers and the fusibles. Just a really quick overview of them. And again, if you go to Quilter Select YouTube channel, you're going to find demonstrations, and you're gonna see a lot more than I've shown you today. And Lisa, you've asked can we buy a stabilizer sampler packet. I think so, but I can't say that for sure. I would check on the the TQS shop site or the Quilter Select site to see. But with the Quilter Select, you're going to get they're going to refer you to your local quilt store, which is a wonderful thing. And I just saw that someone put up a free Fuse video link right there in the chat box from the show. So do go to that if you want to watch Alex's video on that. Great one. And let me see if there's any other questions. And somebody asked if we have a list of Canadian distributors. I'm not sure on that, but I will look and put the answer in the forum. And I would think you would, but I don't know the answer to that. I'm just kind of... And I haven't made too many polyester quilts, but I didn't find it a problem with my polyester. I did have to keep my iron on it a little bit longer because the polyester was a little bit thicker. And somebody asked, how do you iron it when you are sandwiching a large quilt with the free fuse? And that's where that video with Alex will come in very handy. She gives a great demonstration on how you can do that even with a large quilt. So I would put send you to her video. So I think... I see that. And again, just from the chat box, I know a lot of you are using the products and finding them very helpful, and that's wonderful because there's some really good things that I really like about these particular products. And one is they're made in America. These people stand behind their product, and if you have a problem with it, they want to hear from you. They want to know what those issues are, because if it's an issue for you, it may be for others, and they will work hard to make that right. And the web is so soft. It just changes the way my quilts feel and look when they're done with these stabilizers. And again, remember that this is not paper, it's a fiber. So we're adding fiber to our quilts and not paper. And so if you leave some of those in with the applique or the fusing process, and you have that paper in there, once it's washed, what is water soluble will go away, and you won't even know that there's a product in there, but it has done its job and it will continue to do that. And very strong. And again, I've used it with paper. I've used it on wood, a thin wood, putting stuff over the top of that and sealing that to the wood with fabric, with paper, some of those other materials. So very strong bond in terms of that. And love the the fusible, and for t-shirt quilts and for my silks and all of that. So if you've never tried the product or want to try it, I would say do it. I don't think you'll be disappointed. And so really enjoy trying something new and seeing how it works for you. And next week we'll be back and with something fun and new for you. So have a great week and enjoy whatever it is that you have coming up for you this week. Thank you all so much for being here, and we'll see you next time.